What if you're actually opening yourself up to everything else you could create and you're not losing anything?
Are you finding that freelancers and entrepreneurs are very similar? Because you talk a lot about entrepreneurs and mindset, but is that the same mindset for freelancers as well?
I think yes, for a lot of the freelancers that I have coached, at least. A lot of them became freelancers because they want this level of freedom and autonomy, right? They don't want to be tied to a 9 to 5. You know, whatever freedom and autonomy means to you. You want to be able to travel. They want to set a good example for their family about what they can do as a free individual. Yeah. What an interesting phenomenon that I find in my coaching is because then a freelancer gets to a certain level, they become very familiar with how to get new clients, how to serve them, and, you know, the good freelancers, right? Yeah. How to do a really good job. And then they want to go to this next tier, which is, well, creating their own products or creating their own offers, doing more consulting versus ongoing, in my case, copywriters, right? Writing the words of copy. And then they hit another ceiling because when it comes time, if they want to boost, you know, their monthly recurring revenue, they go to the familiar, which is taking on another client. Oh, I'm going to get another client. Or if they lose one client and their income dips, they go back to the familiar of taking on another client. And yet what they really want to do is try this new thing and put out this new offer. But because it's unfamiliar, I work with them to break down the micro steps they could take and how can they position themselves when releasing their own offerings for tremendous upside with very little upfront work and effort. So we micro step our way into that so that they don't have to build $40,000 funnels, you know, just to see if something works. There are ways around that.
Okay. So do you usually suggest, like, if somebody's a copywriter successful, that they stop the copy and then focus on a new project? How do you, and this is a challenge I have also, is that, you know, I have, let's say, the media stuff, and then I have the work and managing the team. Like, how do you, maybe you could tell us how you do it, but how do you manage being a copywriter, a marketer, an offer owner, a mastermind, a guru, and creating, like, how do you decide how much time goes into everything and managing it? Because I mean, for us outsiders, we see you, let's say, on social, and just, you know, we see you around, and it seems like almost all of it is successful. So how do you do it?
That's why I started Diamond Day, because people ask me how I do it. Yeah, so that took time as well because, and especially in America, we tend to, like, our occupation is our identity, right? And what we do is our identity. So if I'm a copywriter, and if I'm going to switch, to an offer owner, I'm going to switch to an entrepreneur. And then I just realized that's bullshit. Like, I am a copywriter, I'm a marketer, I'm an offer owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm all of it. Yeah. And the goal that I love to bring people through on this journey is, how can you fluidly move from one to the other when it most serves you, when it most interests you? So I still take on copywriting clients, very few, admittedly, very few, but I still do it when I want to. And when, they'll pay my fees, right? And setting that that barrier to entry gives me the time for all the other things I want to pursue, right? But if I was stuck in, I'm copywriter identity and I have to vet and consider and maybe take on every single lead that comes my way, then I'm never getting the chance to build out my mastermind or build out my mindset course or all of this other stuff. Yeah. So it helps to say no, right? And get very clear on who are the type of clients I would be willing to work with and serve. And the money part, like, how much are they prepared to invest? Yeah. If they're not hitting that criteria, that's great. We could still be friends. Could maybe refer them to somebody who's a good fit. But it's not that I'm losing anything. That's part of the fear and a perceived risk, right? That a lot of copywriters have. If I say no, I'm losing this $4,000 or $5,000 a month. What if you're actually opening yourself up to everything else you could create and you're not losing anything? Now, of course, that's going to require some discipline. So you don't spend those hours that you're not servicing that client sitting on your ass thinking Netflix, TikTok, right? You're spending those hours working on your own shit.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of prioritization and delineation of time is one of the ways that I'm able to do it.
Well, that's interesting, prioritizing, and, prioritizing is something that, again, is I don't think it's a sexy topic, but it's important. And a lot of people just do things chronologically. And I used to do this myself. Like I had an inbox and I just go to one after the other. And I started myself doing, I was like, well, who's going to bring me the most money? That's who gets answered to first. You know what I mean? And what's the best opportunity and what do I enjoy doing the most? So that's interesting that you say that is, prioritizing and really blocking off time seems to be quite a nice way of managing your time. Now, out of all these things though, that you're doing, what's your favorite? Like what are you the most passionate about right now that you're like, I would want to do this 100 hours a week?
You know what? I love speaking on stage. I really love teaching on stage. I like to be motivational too, but I'm just not a big fluffer, I even watch like some training on how to be a really good public speaker. And a lot of it is teaching you how to be a better fluffer, which I think there's utility to that here and there, getting people pumped up or giving them a little like slogan, that they could say or they could cheer or whatever, like I'm a funnel hacker, stuff like that. But I really love teaching. And that was something I struggled with in my identity too, all because of one silly quote, those who can't do teach, right? Which is such bullshit. Like Einstein was a teacher, like people who can do can also teach, and teaching is a skill and a gift. So I really love being able to teach seemingly complicated stuff, be that about messaging or positioning or structuring an offer or the mindset you have to be able to do all of those things in a way that is simple and makes people understand that they can do it and that they can mess up and still be okay. You can mess up and still be okay. You can have an offer that flops, crickets, and still be okay. Trust me, it happens to me all the time. And if I'm living proof, you have no excuse. Go get your shit out there.
So now let me put you right in the line of fire. Tell me something that really bombed, like something I was like, oh, that was really bad.
Okay. I got a freshie too.
Oh, okay. Good. Juicy.
Still on there. So the chip on my shoulder may come out to I'm going to divert first with a story. One of the gals, because my coaching clients help me all the time and I always give them credit. So one of the gals I mentor with, her name is Alyssa Dillon. She just ran an event called Moneymaker Live. It was great. I got to speak at it and she has a chip on her shoulder. I noticed it when she's on stage and she'll talk about, people who dropped out of her mastermind right there on stage. And you can just see she's a little bit pissed off about it. And I liked that. Most people are not so raw and authentic and when things go wrong and people say no to them and stuff like that. And I think it's she's got a really magnetic tribe. They're just glued to her. They love her. And I think that was part of her magic. And so I just look at her and I say, you know what I like about you? She's like, what? I'm like, you got a chip on your shoulder. And I have tried, one of the things I struggle with on social media is wanting to appear perfect. And even when I share my vulnerabilities, I can't help but be a little bit calculated about it. I think, you do marketing for 13 years and it becomes second nature to be calculated in everything you share. Yeah. And she was just way more raw and authentic and vulnerable than I tend to be. So it's because of you, Alyssa, if you're listening, that I am going to share this, which I might not usually share so quickly, but I run a group of women, mostly copywriters, in a Slack channel called Athena Group. And I made an offering to them. There's a group of about 42 women who I've given a lot of value to over a year now in a free group. Job opportunities, networking strategies, connecting them to one another, all this stuff. And so I made them an offering. and none of them took me up on it. And it was insane. Like, I'm not going to even reveal what the offering was to the public because it truly was private to them, which I told them. It was going to take care of their needs as copywriters, mindset stuff. It was just a big ass, juicy, in my opinion, irresistible package.
Okay.
And crickets, not a one, not a one took me up on it. And so there you go. Can I make an offer that flops and still be okay? Hey, here I am the very next day. Like, I'm totally fine.
Well, now onward. I think a lot of people listening are going to be like, I want in on that offer. So you might get some people going back in there. Well, I mean,
so it may work out, right?
There you go.
You never really know how things might play out. So you just keep fucking going.
Exactly. I mean,
if anybody's super interested in that, they could DM me.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay. So we have an offer. We're going to be putting some links down below in the episode, guys. We're going to have a couple of things, but yeah, I mean, you don't know something that flops, like how in a couple of weeks, couple of years, something comes back. I mean, it's, it's karma and just energy, I feel, moves in different directions. So, you put something out there, it sucks. And, I've made mistakes before, like at the beginning of my career, I got sued for like $25,000 because I just fucked something up. It doesn't sound like, it depends where you are in your journey. 25,000 at that point when I was making 17,000 was like, holy fuck, I'm screwed. What the hell am I going to do? I'm going to be obliterated. And, I learned a couple of things, and it actually really helped me in my business because I knew not to make that mistake. So I was actually very grateful for that lawsuit because I was like, I am never going to fucking say shit like that to a client. So that was good. Hope you found today's session valuable. If you have any questions for me or just want to connect, please feel free to visit my website, mariasparagis.com. That's mariasparagis.com. I'd love to hear what you're working on, so drop me a line on any hot button issues your business is experiencing. And remember, don't worry about failure. You only have to be right once.